never. Oh, we're live. Wait, we should play the intro music because we're live. We were having a nice conversation before all of this happened.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Usually we have our own music with my voiceover, but I felt that today it was appropriate because holy shit, the most unexpected return in wrestling history as far as I'm concerned. This is bigger than the Black Scorpion being Ric Flair, and it's bigger than the Yellow Dog being Dusty Rhodes. It's Shane O'Mac returning after 6 years. Holy shit, we are here with the War Report brought to you by TagMeAtDate.com. And look who just joined us, Ryan the intern.
The intern made it.
Fired guy.
Steve,
All right.
Steve, you run a great ship. Your intern's the last one on board. Amazing.
That's
Listen, if
right.
the ship was sinking, he'd be the first one. He'd be the last one on board on the rescue boat.
My man works through the night, so he gets left.
He's a hard worker. Well, we usually have some kind of banter at the beginning, so I'll just open it up because we've got so many people. I usually go individually, but just in general, I hope everyone's doing well. Anybody have any funny tidbits from the weekend? Anything they'd care to share with the audience before we get into the meat of discussing wrestling? And we have a guest today. We'll get into that in a second. But if anybody, open floor, talk about your lives.
I'll tell you, my life was Sunday in one of the worst pay-per-views that WWE's ever fucking produced in Fastlane.
Oh my God!
But they recovered with a home fucking grand salami of a Monday Night Raw, probably the best Raw I've seen hands down in at least a year. So I'm super pumped for tonight, and we have a very special guest joining us this evening, Charlie Armstrong, the head of Gimmick Tree Entertainment and Modern Vintage Wrestling, which is another huge independent wrestling company that's exploding. And we're proud to have you on the show, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty soon. But welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it feels like two different people wrote two different programs 24 hours apart.
Yeah.
It was 6 hours of television that was so starkly different from each other. You had the absolute drizzles. Like, I forgive Paul Heyman for December to Dismember, and I forgive Vince McMahon for WrestleMania 9 after last night. I have seen, it was like looking into the Ark of the Covenant. This is that pay-per-view for me. It was just not enjoyable. And I say that after they signed AJ Styles and he put on a good match with Jericho, but
Match of the night. Phenomenal match.
by
Phenomenal.
default.
But yeah, but
Yes.
but either way, I mean, I went into the pay-per-view, and in my head I was saying to myself, that's going to be match of the night, and it was. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't have much to, but overall, he's phenomenal. It was a phenomenal match.
All right. Speaking of all that, let's get right into the heart of the matter here. We have 5 topics every week. We call it the Friedman 5. It is curated by one of our resident Jews, Eric Friedman, and he'll break it down for you right after I play this sound effect.
And you're gonna get a 5 count. Do you hear that? You're gonna get a 5 count.
3 ain't enough, man. I need 5.
All right, Eric, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, this is the War Report brought to you by Bootio Cereal. Don't forget. Let's see.
Again,
So-
more sponsors I know nothing of. And
So
I
we
do not
got-
endorse.
So we have what I would call a big 180 of a 24-hour period of first Fastlane and then Raw last night. And I'm sorry, and I think you guys will all agree, Shane McMahon needs to be its own topic above all else. We got WrestleMania coming up, we got Godfather in the Hall of Fame, and we got our special guest, Charlie Armstrong, tonight. Looking forward to tonight. Let's get to it.
Excellent. You want to start with, the pay-per-view and work our way forward in time, or? You want to handle the big story of Shane O'Mac coming back first.
I mean, I say we go right into Shane O'Mac because we got a lot to cover, and well, I mean, let's face it, he was a very big reason as to why this was one of the best Raws we've seen in a very long time. And shout out to WWE because they kept this one under lock and key. I mean, there was no, hey, I mean, there was things out at the beginning of Raw, right before Raw, make sure you watch all the way through. Something huge is going to go down. And but it was nothing like, hey, did you hear Shane might be there? Like, they kept it under lock and key, and it was what a hell of a way to kick off Raw. I marked out like I was a 10-year-old kid. It was fantastic. And but I do want to pose this question to the panel. Are we being forced to boo and not root for The Undertaker at WrestleMania?
Yeah, that's an odd one.
And does Shane not go over and become the new Raw GM?
Right. See, that's a pretty big stipulation to just throw out there in the first 15 minutes of Raw or whatever it was.
But how does Taker lose another Mania?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
well,
like,
he loses it because Shane jumps off of that fucking 90-foot tall HD TV.
Right.
That's what he does. He rappels to the top and then splashes him through 6 tables and then buries him.
Well,
that's the only way The Undertaker loses.
Well, I mean, I got a theory on that, but I mean,
Please
that's just,
do.
Well, go ahead. I want to hear your theory.
I personally think that this, the mind of Vince McMahon is WrestleMania to WrestleMania. Does everybody on the panel agree with that? Pretty much,
Yes.
He builds WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I mean, so my theory is, originally it was supposed to be Sting. Everyone knows that. Sting gets hurt. Sting goes down. Then it's supposed to be Cena. It's supposed to be Superman versus Deadman. Cena goes down. So we're forced into a wild card here. People will label Vince McMahon as what they want to label him, but I label him the greatest promoter on earth and the greatest man sass P.D. Barlow. So my theory is that he's got a plan for WrestleMania 32, not 30. He's building for the next WrestleMania beyond this year's
Already,
WrestleMania, not 30 already. And I think this
100%.
match is the foundation of that. I think Sting comes out. Sting costs Undertaker. And that's you set up for Undertaker Sting next year.
See, now that's not a bad theory, but I want to throw this in too and say Shane O'Mac loses against The Undertaker at Mania and brings back the brand extension. And it'll be Stephanie versus Shane. Brand versus brand like it was back in the day.
No, I think that's coming now as is. I think that's coming now as is. But I think what's happening is I think that Shane has to win at WrestleMania. For this anything to work, Shane has to win.
But how do you have Taker lose again at Mania?
Sting is the wild card. Sting comes out. Sting smashes him with the bat because Sting's going to be the heel in that story no matter what you do. Undertaker's never the bad guy, no matter what they do. Even when they made him a heel back in his run as the biker dead man, he was still getting cheered. To me, that's your way out, where that you build up from year to year, and you build something so big. I mean, the reason they won't do Sting and him now is because Vince doesn't believe that he has time to promote it right. For something like that, Vince wants to do billboards. Vince wants to do media print, and this gives him an opportunity. This gives him 11 months, 59 days, and so many hours to build this feud up. The same thing he did with Cena and Rock. A year in the making, and I mean, I think that's what you do. It's my opinion,
I agree.
I had a thought because there was a list on whatculture.com. And whatculture.com for me, like, I don't read their stuff, review their videos much because they're kind of party poopers. Like, they just take wrestling and they make it not fun. And that really is what I feel about most wrestling media. And I'm guilty of it too because I'll go on Facebook and bitch like everybody else, and then there I am next Monday like an asshole. But the wrestling media sometimes can be overly critical. Where was I going with that? I was making a nice point there, and then I just petered out. I feel like Michael Scott. No, so they had a list. Culture had a list that actually had one thing that made me question it. It said, the Undertaker is a vigilante. Why would he work for Vince McMahon? Would he answer this challenge to prove that he's the best in front of 100,000 people in front of his hometown as he goes into the Hall of Fame? Is it a pride thing? Or is he siding with Vince McMahon? Or is he saying, I'm doing this match, but I'm not doing it for you? Or, which wasn't discussed in the article, my speculation, does Undertaker come back and say, Vince, I don't work for you, I'm going to work for Shane, and then Vince has to find an opponent for the Undertaker?
I thought about that.
My theory on all that is unfortunately, I think that due to the time that we have 60-some days to Mania, that Shane, I think all of it really came down to last night. If Shane wouldn't have got the pop that he did coming out there, I think that they would have done an order, they would have changed it up last night mid-show. I think that they wanted to see what the reaction from the universe was, and the reaction was Shane is over. Now, I personally think if I was them building this thing, I would have Undertaker appear next week, unannounced, unadvertised, and I would have Undertaker say, "I'm not fighting you, Shane. I'm not." And then Vince says, "Well, if you don't fight, no deal on the table." So you make Shane do the same thing Hunter and Undertaker did several years ago, where Hunter forced him into it. You know what I mean? He forced him into the match.
Right.
I mean, because Shane's going to be the face. I mean, no matter what, Shane's the face and Taker's the face. But at the end of the day, Sting comes out and costs him the thing. You turn Sting heel. Shane goes heel to a certain point. Because Shane can play the card. I don't know what was going on. Play babyface. I don't know what's going on. That's their own deal. I'm just here. But you have to build on this story, because this is the most talked about WWE's had in, I'd say, 6 years into a pay-per-view match.
Since CM Punk took the belt and put it in his fridge and showed up at a Cubs game, like they're getting mainstream press again for this stuff.
Good call.
And that was, well, there you go. Hey, continuity. The other thing that's also been tossed around on the internet, because that's what I do all day at work, is the possibility of the Undertaker somehow laying down or disqualifying or screwing over Vince McMahon in some way that Shane wins, because if we're following continuity, Shane and the Undertaker are boys. They formed the corporate ministry together. They were tight. Mm-hmm. So it would make more sense for them to be together than against each other if you went back that far. But honestly, most of the kids now, they're 8 years old. They don't know any of that shit. So it's out the window for the most part. But for us old people here, there's continuity.
What if Sting's able to go?
But that's the question mark. Sting. Is he able to go? He's got, he's a certain age, and he's got certain issues with his neck and back.
No, I'm saying, what if they put out the rumor that about his spine? You bring out Shane, and he brings out Sting. If you want to use continuity, Shane technically owned WCW.
Right. He never brought Sting in. That's another.
Well, that was not for lack of trying.
No, because he didn't have. They had all the big name guys had deals with Turner, and then the lower card guys had deals with WCW. So they would have to buy out the Turner contract or whatever. It was just not. It was not financially viable for Sting at the time, because he had some guaranteed money coming in to turn down that money.
WWE has pulled a lot bigger stuff to sweep under the carpet than this to work with.
I'm really glad this didn't get spoiled, the whole Shane thing.
Yeah.
Because I think it would have taken away from it. Like, I would still be excited to see him, debut, and maybe I would have tuned in live rather than having to watch it later, knowing he was going to be on the show. But honestly, that was the surprise of seeing, even just seeing somebody type Shane McMahon return to WWE is a holy shit moment in and of itself.
I mean, how many times have I said it in the past on this show that, you know, they never, there's no element of surprise anymore. So it was a really nice, you know, feeling to be surprised and it not be a letdown. You know, it's like I'm having dinner, and you know, I'm watching the beginning of Raw, and I'm excited to, you know, because I'm hearing rumors something big's gonna happen. So I'm thinking, well, it's got to be who's gonna win the award, and then Stephanie gets announced, and I was like, all right, typical letdown. You know, like part of me was like, all right, I mean, not that she wouldn't deserve it, but the other part of me is like, well, I was expecting something big, and then never in my wildest dreams did I expect to hear, here comes the money. And I ran laps around the house. It was so fucking great.
For real, though.
Laps. It was so great. I woke up the whole house. It was fantastic.
Phenomenal. I wish I could have been there to watch Stacy's face looking at you.
If she wasn't happy.
Phenomenal.
Especially when the 2-year-old started screaming, holy shit.
That's a bad thing for a child to learn.
Yeah, it wasn't very good on my part, but
it's a good thing if
all
it's good
wrestling fans will understand that, you know, things like this happen and, you know, you forget where you are for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, come on. How many of us got in trouble for throwing crotch chops at people in, like, the 8th grade?
Oh, all day long.
Right?
All day long.
You're just starting them 6 years early.
The easier question is, who didn't get in trouble for throwing crotch chops in 8th grade?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, moving through Raw, I want to talk a little bit about the ending of Raw. I know
you mean where the big babyface Triple H beat up the dastardly heel Roman Reigns as the audience chanted yes?
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to address. And the thing is they had to know that was going to happen. So is Reigns officially the heel? Is Triple H officially the babyface? And I would like to talk about some of those punches that were thrown towards the end of the show.
I want to know if Byron Saxton gave Roman Reigns a gig, you know, like a blade, or if you gave him a blood packet.
No, blood packet.
I actually have some insight on. I have some insight on this. Actual true insight on this.
Please.
With the whole blood pack and the blood thing, Saxon did hand him a gimmick. He handed him a blade, and that was real blood. It was supposed to be. It was because if you go back, you look at the actual color scheme of it, it actually was compared to like blood capsules. They haven't used blood capsules since the 50s. People can tell the difference in real blood and fake blood in today's people with cameras and social media and whatever
TNA
it is.
was doing it in 2009 though.
Yeah, and people could tell really quickly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah,
it is TNA though. Come on.
Yeah, well, hold on now. We're not gonna badmouth TNA.
We're not gonna badmouth TNA.
TNA. I mean, thank you, Bob Ryder, for my check last week, but that's okay.
It's 2009 TNA.
Okay. But no. Again, I talked to somebody today, and we had a long conversation about it, and the gentleman, you know, obviously has a lot of where he's at in the company and who he knows, and I asked him point blank, I was like, what was the deal? And he was like, it was a blade, but what happened with the punches afterwards was definitely unscripted. It was obviously ad-lib because you could see the reaction of the crowd. Hunter, if you go back to watching Hunter's matches, I'm a very big fan of Paul. I think he's arguably one of the very best of all time. He reacts to the crowd. And I don't think he goes versus, like, in his mindset, he doesn't worry about babyface and heel at that point of it. I think he's worried about getting the story over. And the story, unfortunately, right now is how do you get Roman Reigns over? You got him over as a face somewhat by him beating up Triple H, but now Triple H comes out and beats him up, and now Triple H is over as a face. Where do you actually take the story? I think is the best question of the night with the whole thing. To me, being a booker, I would be in Booker Nightmare because no matter what you do for this guy, Roman can't be a babyface I mean, no matter what you do, I think if he punched Vince McMahon in the face 20 more times, he's only going to get certain reactions from it. He's not going to get the full. You're not going to get the Austin era from him. You're not going to get the Rock era from this guy. You know, I mean, this guy is a natural badass that everyone hates. So turn the motherfucker heel and get it over with.
Amen.
And I mean,
Exactly.
and personally, my opinion. I mean, Brock is limited on his schedule. I've said it from a year to 2 years ago. Put fucking Paul Heyman with that motherfucker. Let Paul Heyman talk. Let Roman do what he does, and you basically get a version of Brock that's a yearly on tour guy who will sell your arena out because people will come to boo this motherfucker. They're not going to cheer this dude. I mean, if you guys go back a year ago in Philly. In the Philly at the Royal Rumble, The Rock came out. When's the last time we ever seen The Rock get booed out of any building? He got booed out of Philadelphia for raising Roman's hand. I mean, the guy is never. It's never going to change, no matter what they do, no matter how they dress it, how they fix it up. Roman Reigns is a heel. Seth Rollins is a babyface. Dean Ambrose is a heel. That is the direction that, in my opinion, of the Shield, whatever you want to call them guys, that era, them guys need to be. I mean, just my opinion.
I think Dean can go either way.
Dean can go, definitely. I think Dean can go either way. I never liked Seth Rollins as a heel, and maybe I'm not supposed to, but there was just part of it that was like, part of it just turned me off on the character, him being like basically a small child. Yeah, he was like, I want a statue, and I want it, and it was just like, and I know that's the heel thing to do, but I don't know, like I don't want to say that the World Heavyweight Champion put on kind of a girly voice when he did this stuff, but he kind of put on a girly voice when he did this stuff, and it just turned me off to his heel character.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was the Veruca Salt of wrestling.
It kind of was. There you go.
But now.
Oh my God.
So how about Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose? I didn't see this coming, that they were going to set up a Mania thing for them too. I'm pretty damn excited about it, though. I will say this. I think the build-up is great. And I like the whole thing, where he got jumped early and but you had to know he was going to come back in an ambulance and drive it in. I knew that was coming.
I somewhat saw the match coming out, especially how the he was provoking Brock the entire way up until Fastlane. He made it personal, and normally when you make it personal, there's at least one 1v1 match.
Yeah, they were kind of teasing it. I think they were trying to test it out.
Yeah.
Prior, because they use it. It's great. You use a triple threat match as an excuse. Who do the fans want to see? This guy against this guy. This guy against this guy. Unfortunately for Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, the answer is the fans want to see both of them, and nobody wants to see Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
But Roman Reigns had to get moved up in order for that to happen, instead of Reigns moving down.
Dean Ambrose has to win this match at Mania.
But if he doesn't, I'll say, like I said on Facebook, there needs to be a Dean eats the pin montage, because
yeah.
I swear to God, it's like he's been made to look like such a dickhead over the last 2 years. He lost to a hologram. He lost to a television that was still plugged in. He lost to Roman Reigns after hitting him with about 12 DDTs. He got dumped over the top rope by Triple H, and then he ate one spear and got pinned at Fastlane. One spear. He hit Roman Reigns with 3 chair shots, and he got hit with 1 spear and lost the match. The booking does not correlate.
Sure.
So it was a tale of 2 shows. The pay-per-view was so unwatchable. And I love the girls, and the women's wrestlers. I don't want to call them girls. That's demeaning. I really like the women's wrestlers. That match did not hold my interest at all. I mean, the championship match. I did not watch the tag match. I watched late, unfortunately, but the Divas championship match was just, I could not get into it. It was the pits.
It was a little messy too. It wasn't their best, that's for sure.
It was a placeholder.
Right, but I like the build-up, because at the end of the day, we're gonna have a triple threat for the women's championship.
Hope so.
And I am 100% sure that Sasha Banks is leaving as champion.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So,
Absolutely.
I think that's the right direction. I think that's pretty big. But yeah, I think the women's title match was pretty weak actually.
The Jericho AJ Styles match was good.
That was match of the night.
Yep.
Ryan,
Not
do you
that
have
it
the
was really
spreadsheet?
contended. I got out of work at around 9.
Do you have
So I
access?
got-
Do you know the link to the spreadsheet?
Which spreadsheet?
The pay-per-view predictions.
Oh yeah, I have that still. I sent that to everybody.
Yeah. Do you want me to? If it's in a message, I can just pull the message up.
Yeah, I
All right, we can go.
gave everybody the update.
Hey guys, I hate to cut in here. I only have about. I guess I didn't realize this because I'm on a device here, and being the social media age we are,
Yeah.
and I only have about 12% battery left because I guess it drains. I had 90% when we started, so I guess it super drains your battery very quickly.
It
Wow.
kills the battery. It eats it and then eats it again.
Thanks, Ryan. We will quickly change gears
I
to
don't
Charlie, and we'll get him in, and then we'll do our pay-per-view predictions. We'll go over who did what and who said what. But first of all,
the floor is yours, dude. Talk about Gimmick Tree Entertainment and modern vintage wrestling, the next big thing.
because unfortunately I am very new to this modern vintage wrestling
That's cool.
information, so I'm very interested to hear more.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess, I don't know. You guys want to ask me any kind of questions you guys want to ask me? I'll answer them. I mean, my thing is I always answer them honestly. That gets me in a lot of trouble usually. And I usually answer them either with sometimes with a 4-letter word, and that'll get me in more trouble. So, so if whatever you guys want to ask, you guys can more than happy to ask. I mean, about the product, about me, about my promoting.
Yeah, I want to get the stuff out of the way that people can check you out and find out more.
Sure.
Let us know. First of all, what states are you going to be promoting in, and the regions? Because I know some places do, the regional stuff, and some go across the country. But
I guess I'm a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, our next major event that we're promoting, that's our solo event, is in July 30th, Wilmington, North Carolina, Ziggy's by the Sea. We were just there in January for Rebirth. We'll be there this time. We'll be having a huge event there. The event will actually be broadcast live pay-per-view. So I'm dropping exclusive for you guys. I'll actually be dropping live pay-per-view. More information on that to come soon. The main event for this match has been signed. It will be Tommy Dreamer and a mystery partner. And the mystery partner will take on Jason Kincaid and Raphael King. At our very first debut show, Jason Kincaid won the title. There was a little help from myself. I personally don't feel like going involved right now because, as I've explained many times, it was a choice that I had to make on who I wanted to see carry our title, and I chose Jason Kincaid as our champion. And I believe that he's the best independent wrestler in the country. I mean, if you guys look at it, he was obviously a shoe-in to win the Ring of Honor Prospects tournament. He got screwed out of that, but I mean, I'm the best in the business today. I mean, he'll be there at WrestleMania with. So people can come check us out at WrestleCon. But I mean, for us, for other events that we're doing, we're actually doing something a lot of promoters don't do, and as we work with other promotions very strongly. We have a very strong relations with Steve Corino in PWF down in North Carolina. We actually have got a partnership agreement with them where we're running some joint operations, and also we're going to be running some double shots with them where they run one day, we run the next day. We work with AML, that's Tracy Myers, and WrestleCade. We also work with Mike with High Spots with WrestleCon. My big thing is working with other promoters. I think is really key to our business, is the respect that is not shown a lot by other promoters or so-called promoters, thinking that they can just do shady stuff and get away with it. I think at a time that gets exposed to who they are as a person, I really believe in building a core value of, honor and tradition and stuff in the community. I mean, obviously, our people can come on my Facebook page, Charlie Armstrong Hartman. I'm there on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, the Charlie Armstrong. I'm really easy to find. And my big thing is just bringing back a lot of tradition and a lot of honor to the business, and actually really giving the value that wrestling has. Obviously we're working with a lot of great guys. Tommy Dreamer. We're working with guys like Jason K, like I said earlier, working with huge names that we'll be announcing. And to give you guys a bombshell announcement, we're bringing somebody to Wilmington that hasn't been in this country in 5 years. And it's gonna be a tease, but he's not from Canada either, so it's not a Canada or Mexico.
Oh, that would be
okay?
so. Bruce Hart.
I promise. It's not a swerve job. I'm not bringing a Canadian in. Being like, I got you. He's been in the country 5 years. No, we're bringing somebody from overseas. I can't release it right now, but it is somebody from Japan. It's going to be somebody that we're bringing in that hasn't been in the States in 5 years. And he's coming in to work and be part of our company, and that's what we do. It's not about, at the end of the day, for me, I'm going to bring in these super big names and put them against each other like other promoters do. Putting a TNA guy versus a TNA guy for their main event for their so-called show. But what I actually do is I take our younger guys and our up-and-coming guys and put them against the veterans and have them learn the business the right way.
And that's important. I do see, and it happens because I understand the idea if you want a marquee match, and it usually means taking two guys who were either with WWE or are a legend or a Hall of Famer or something and putting them in a match together. It sells tickets. But I agree as well that those guys, the up-and-comers, do need to work with the veterans, and I've seen, like, Jerry Lawler is very, very gracious when it comes to that. He loves working with the new guys. He's familiar, and I'm familiar with Jerry because he comes in all the time with Northeast Wrestling. He's familiar with our young guys, and it helps them feel more comfortable. Like when he knows them and he recognizes them. Hi, Brian, how you doing? And he shakes hands with them and talks to them. That helps, and the confidence from just the interaction helps, and then the confidence from having somebody like him call a match. It's
absolutely
a masterclass. It's 10. It's a 10-minute crash course on how to wrestle.
See, my thing is I get marquee matches. I mean, yeah, you sell tickets, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, that name, no knock on Jerry Lawler, no knock on Tommy Dreamer, none of them guys, right? They're all going to fly home, and they're going to go back to their houses. They're going to go back to their things, and you may use them 1 or 2 times a year, whatever you do.
Right.
But your core guys like Jason Cade, Raphael King, Ethan Carter, these guys that you're building up to be the next Tommy Dreamer, what made ECW so special? If you go back to the day, ECW brought in old school legends. They brought in Jimmy Snukas. They brought in Terry Funks. But what did they do? They had them work with the younger guys. And sometimes the younger guys got put over. Sometimes the veterans, got put over, whatever it may be. But the younger guys got built up, and then at the end of the day, the veterans went home, and then we seen a new breed of wrestlers come out. And I think that's what a lot of promotions miss, is that they worry about selling, and then they're talking about, they don't sell tickets. Well, fuck, you're only selling 30, 40 tickets anyway, so, what are you really selling tickets for anyway, at the end of the fucking day? I mean, if you're telling me you're trying to sell out an arena, and I asked you how many you had at your house last night, you tell me you had 100 people, you're not selling out a fucking arena. Okay,
no,
so
you're hoping that everybody really wants a picture with Ricky Morton so you can get a cut of it.
yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. I mean, let's just, I mean, not to put Gimmick Tree over, but I'll put it over like it was. We went into Wilmington. It was a former business partner of mine's hometown. We went in there and we kicked some fucking ass because we sold the building out and we did it the right way. I went out for months and I put posters up. I didn't rely on social media, Facebook ads. We did old school radio ads. We did call-ins. We did ticket giveaways. We did booths at events throughout the town. And everybody asked me and told me, how'd you find out about the show? Well, I found out about the show because of all the posters, the flyers, all the different old school ways that work. And that is the key, is you can spend all this money on social media and all this stuff. Why do that when you go out there and just hand out a couple flyers and talk to people about your show and invite them down? We did over 550 people at Ziggy's, and the building held 400 something. So we had standing room only, and we were holding people at the door. We couldn't let nobody else in. The fire marshal said, nobody else comes in or we're shutting you down. That
Wow.
now, again, 500 some people is not a big number in my mindset for a promotion. But sometimes some promotions don't even get 500 people their entire lifespan of their company. And my thing is if you're going to truly deliver a product, deliver one that the fans can respect, that you can respect as an owner by putting it on, and don't just be a mark for yourself or be a mark and I'm going to book this guy because I like this guy. You know, be a good promoter, because that's what kills people like myself, Tracy Myers, Jeff Jarrett. I mean, in the next 3 months, Gimmick Tree Entertainment, we are working with Global Force Wrestling on May the 15th with AML Global Force, Confrontation. We're going to be there. We have Ron Simmons as a special guest. This weekend, we are at Galleria Mall in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're working with Ring of Honor superstar and Ring of Honor Steve Corino. And then next weekend at the big event in New York City, we're working with Dalton Castle. So, I mean, and then James Storm at WrestleMania, Vince Russo at WrestleMania. We work with hardcore names, but our names are always there willing to help the younger guys out. And that's the key of what we're building our company based on, is the next generation. Shane kind of said it best last night. It's about the next generation, and that's what it truly is about what we're building.
Sweet. So you promoted, and I don't mean to, step out of bounds here, but you mentioned it, so I'm going to bring it up. You said you promoted in the same town as an ex-business partner, which, for those of you who are not familiar with the wrestling business, is usually considered either poor form, or you want to ask and get permission. Or at least
I'm going, guys. My battery's dying, guys. Oh, no.
On the huge, if you're going to run in a town that's next door or in the same area as somebody, you usually kind of ask. Ex-business partner seems to indicate there's a little bit of heat there. I'm going to give you as much freedom to talk about that, as little or as much as you want right now. I think I might have just opened a bad floodgate, but...
Oh, you might have...
I fucked up, huh? Uh-oh.
You can see you done goofed.
Don't ask Charlie Armstrong a question if you don't expect a fucking answer, huh? All right, here we go.
Hey, don't come bring him here and pull Roddy Piper.
Hey, man.
I will say that if his phone died, his logo would be gone. So.
Right?
It does take a second for.
Brother, I can't hear you no more.
I will say, and I will say, knowing the situation and knowing the rules of the game and how they're supposed to be played, Charlie is 100% not in the wrong.
Okay.
And I will be more than happy to provide details, but I would love to get a verbal. I think it's
he's gone.
12%.
Yeah, he's for real.
So,
do we scare him off?
His
phone actually died.
I think it actually died. I will say this. I am going to leave the story there as a teaser. We're going to get Charlie back on this son-bitch, and we're going to give you the details of the story, because I know the story from the very beginning because I was there.
We were there.
And there is a lot to be said. So we're gonna tease it a little bit.
We're witnesses, man. Steve and I.
Yeah, we're going to tease it a little bit, and we're going to hold it right there and maybe switch gears back to wrestling.
There we go. I have our spreadsheet out.
There we go.
And it looks like me, Ryan, and Eric were the three that filled out the Fastlane prediction spreadsheet. I did terribly because I booked with my heart instead of my head, with things I'd like to see happen rather than the things that I
booked with my heart in the main event.
Right. Basically, what I should have done was say, what do I want to see, and then go with the absolute opposite.
Yeah.
I want to before we get into the picks, our friend Robert, who's been watching us, since last week, and he's been promoting us, he just on Twitter, fuck kayfabe on this show, laugh my ass off.
I saw that you retweeted that.
It's a wrestling show on the internet, man.
That's how we fucking roll,
Hey, man, I'm just trying to act nice for you guys so I get booked. I want to travel.
Let me tell you, Charlie. Charlie has been a real advocate for Tag Me a Date and been a real true supporter of what we've been doing. I've been honored and proud to consider him a business partner. We do a lot of events together. Charlie is the reason that I'm going to Dallas this year. Charlie is the reason why I have a house to stay at for WrestleMania. Charlie is the reason why Tag Me a Date is going to be at fucking WrestleCon, touching over 50,000 people in 48 hours. So, a lot of opportunities come our way from Charlie, and he's a good guy to know, and he's an honest promoter. Vince, being in the business.
But we were chatting before we went live, and he was already starting to get hot about somebody, and I was like waiting. His phone died at the absolute worst possible time.
Yeah,
because I wanted to hear that story.
The best possible time, if you think about it.
Yeah, best.
Tune in next time for the thrilling conclusion.
Okay.
Just it's hard to find true, honest promoters in this business sometimes, and we're lucky enough to know a few.
Yeah.
And Mike Lombardi being one of them. So it's very cool, and I see a lot of big things happening for Modern Vintage. So it's pretty cool.
It was such a culture shock to me because I'm such a northerner, that it was if he descended from the mountains to come speak to us. Like he was, a character of Duck Dynasty stature, and I mean that in the absolute best way possible.
I could listen to Charlie all day long.
Oh my God! Got to turn the motherfucker heel. No, yeah, all right, there we go. Whatever you want to say, keep saying it in that way. Read the phone book. Oh,
let me chime in here for a sec, because Charlie is responsible for two of my favorite events that Tag Me a Date has done. Last year, both in Wilmington. One was with Rock and Roll Express, $10 Million Man, and Midnight Express, Dr. Tom Pritchard, all these guys. Maestro was at both these events, and then the other one was the tribute to women's wrestling. We had Trish and Lita and Victoria and Ivory and all these people. Two of my favorite events that we've done, and Steve's right. He's been a big part of Tag Me a Date's success, much like someone like Mike Lombardi, and even to a lesser extent, not so much a lesser extent. He's not a promoter, but Justin LaBar is a big part of the success of Tag Me a Date as well. So I just want to put over all those people,
I just want to make a quick point about Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns and all that for a second. More about. There are a couple things. I saw on Facebook, and I'm not going to call nobody out, but I'm just going to say it because you mentioned the guy's name. The Stro, formerly WCW's The Maestro, he posted on Facebook that people complain about part-timers coming back, and then we all cheer for Shane coming back, and then we boo Roman Reigns, who's here all year round. And he thinks that it's a little bit reversed or a little bit hypocritical. Unfortunately, there are a couple things. Big returns are the nature of the business. Not that they're a cheap way to pop ratings, but they kind of a cheap way to pop ratings. Just take somebody who hasn't been on TV in 5 or 6 years, stick them on TV. It doesn't matter if it's Doink the Clown. People like to watch that shit. They should. Okay. Once again, I'm against anybody doing any of the gimmicks of the dead wrestlers anymore. If you're still doing a Doink the Clown, fucking kill yourself.
Amen.
Please kill yourself now. You're an asshole. There's a guy, he had a family, and he's dead now, so please stop wearing the It's fucking weird. They sell the costumes. Indie guys sell the costumes that this fucking guy wore to each other so they can fucking be Doink.
That's terrible.
It's bad. But you know what I mean? You stick somebody on TV and they're gonna pop a big reaction. People are booing Roman Reigns for the exact reason that Stro was saying people should be cheering him. He's on TV every fucking week. Make us miss the guy a little bit. Give him some adversity. He lost the title and then won it back in the course of 23 hours.
Yeah, like it was the promo about the ladder. I got knocked all the way back to the ladder. Oh, wait, in the same show he got announced for the title match.
Exactly.
booking him so ridiculously inconsistent that it makes no sense. Fans are not necessarily booing Reigns himself. It's the booking of
exactly.
him
People
that
want.
they're booing.
I like Roman Reigns. If what Charlie said is accurate, and that was a fucking blade, and he gigged like wrestlers used to, not sports entertainers, like wrestlers used to, I have a lot more respect for him. I know that's a really old school bullshit thing. Okay, yes, chair shots to the head are bad and they cause concussions and people can die. Let's get that out of the way. But the blade thing, unless you've got hepatitis or something, and none of these guys do, they're all clean. Supposedly they get tested and health.
It's not like a Bob Orton Jr. thing, you know.
Exactly. So if they gig, chances are they're not going to spread any diseases. And likewise, because your other employees do not have the diseases that are communicable, the disease cannot go into the wound and then infect that person who is bleeding. It's a very safe situation if done properly. Sometimes it's abused. Let's get that out of the way as well.
Yeah.
It's bad. If you look at Ric Flair's head, you could fucking put a poker chip in one of the scars and he could hold it there. You know, it's just not a good look. But in certain instances, it works beautifully. And it worked beautifully here. I like Roman Reigns. People want a reason to like Roman Reigns. Charlie said something earlier regarding Shane Undertaker, and I'm going to repeat it. Vince always has a plan. Remember last year when we were talking about this exact thing? We're like, God damn it, Roman Reigns is going to somehow get a bullshit win over Brock Lesnar, and he's going to walk out the champion at WrestleMania 31. It's so predictable, and then we get the Money in the Bank cash in. Nobody saw that coming, at least in the way that it was done.
Yeah.
People might have theorized that he would cash it in after the match was over, like Reigns wins it to get his first title reign out of the way, and then immediately loses it, like they did with him and Sheamus. Excuse me. So, they had a plan. They had a plan B. Maybe that was a plan C. Maybe it was a plan Z. Who knows how many backup plans this fucking guy has? But he had a plan, and he took what was really going to be a turd of a main event. First of all, the match. Roman Reigns put work in and made that match good. And Brock Lesnar did the heel work. He carried the match. He did the heavy lifting, and Reigns did enough to make it a good WrestleMania main event. What made it a great WrestleMania main event is the last 3 minutes of the thing. It's the shock, the surprise, that thing we're talking about that pops a reaction is a big unexpected thing. That was awesome. So, by extension, they did this before with Triple H versus Cena, and they just wrote it out. Cena got booed. Was it Chicago? Cena got booed.
Chicago.
Relentlessly
22.
booed.
First time we saw CM Punk.
Yeah, the first time
He
we
was
saw
one of
CM
Triple
Punk.
H's gangsters.
On the with the
He's
Tommy
one
gun,
of
yeah.
Cena's gangsters, yeah.
And the overcoat, yeah. So and they wrote it out. They rode the storm out, and they just let people boo the shit out of Cena while Triple H worked the match. And at the end, the even more infuriating thing was that Triple H tapped out to the STF, which is the worst-looking submission in the history of submission moves. Close to the Atomic Noogie, the Kona Crush, and the old finger in the ear, Wet Willie. STF is the worst. I'm sorry, I've seen people tap out from wedgies that looked harder than the STF when he locks it in. It's really sad. But there's a plan. They wrote it out before. This was 10 years ago. They saw what happened. They can't possibly. Please give me a sign that this is not going to happen. But it is my faith, and it's misplaced faith in Vince McMahon and company to deliver us from this shitty main event. And I say that because people complain a lot. And they say, why do you watch if you're going to complain? Why don't you just stop watching? Well, guess what? I've watched this shit for almost 30 years. I don't want to stop watching. I want it to improve. I don't want it to go to the shits. That's like saying, well, why do you still talk to your mom? She's an alcoholic and used to beat you with a sack of tangerines when you were little. It's like, she's my mom. You know,
Yeah.
Every so often she'll forget your birthday and throw a bottle at your head, but she's still your mom. Like, Vince McMahon has literally dropped his pants and took a shit in the middle of the ring for 3 hours on Sunday night, and it was horrifying. And then the next night, they delivered this awesome product, and it shows. It's it really is like an alcoholic. It's like when they get clean, they show flashes of brilliance, and then something just triggers them, and then they go back down, and they just spiral, and then they come back out of it with something great. Right now we're on a high. We're just waiting. I'm waiting for the fucking, the floor to drop out and something to happen. But I'm putting the faith in them. I know, right? Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Raw sucks for like 3 weeks to get it out of the way. Just get it out of the fucking way. If it's gonna suck, please let it suck now in February and March instead of in April. So let the wrestling product suffer. I don't care how bad it is. You could have R-Truth wrestle Lil Jimmy, in a ladder match that he loses. Lil Jimmy, we have to watch R-Truth lay on his back and watch as an invisible child walks up a ladder that's actually there, and then they have a little trigger that like drops a clipboard to give him a match. Like it looks like an invisible person actually dropped it down, like a little something on a string. I would love it. If it meant that they figured their shit out in time to make WrestleMania good. If they need Raw to suck for a couple weeks to make WrestleMania the best it can possibly be, let it happen. I'm okay with it. I just want April. What is it? What do you? I don't even know what day it is.
April 3rd is WrestleMania.
I want April 3rd to be the best day of the year. I want it to be treat yourself 2016. I want it to be the best possible show possible. So if it means that they really have to like fuck Raw this week, we want to work on the storylines for WrestleMania. Do it. I want WrestleMania to be good. That's it.
Well,
that's my key.
It kind of reminds me of last year, because last year the build-up to WrestleMania sucked so bad, but WrestleMania kind of knocked it out of the park, I would say.
Yeah, I was really down on most of the product last year.
It was a great show, WrestleMania. Like
there was
the only complaint I had was Sting losing, but other than that, I thought it was a great show.
I thought Sting losing and Cena winning were backwards. Everything else was fine.
Still were great matches, though.
Yeah, no, everything was great. Again, Randy Orton pulls out the underrated match of the night because every year he seems to pull out something underrated. He had a great match with Rollins. He's had great matches with like Punk. That was just an undercard match thrown on there. That was awesome.
His match with Kane.
Kane. Yeah.
I liked his triple threat with Legacy too.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, yeah, that opened the fucking WrestleMania. Can you imagine? Jesus. And that was a shitty WrestleMania too.
Orton coming back before Mania?
Is he? No, I don't think he is. I think Cena's going to.
He wants to.
Yeah. Michael, big match. John has returned. Be prepared. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Fucking guy is squatting 300 pounds. And,
guy is a beast.
He's I want.
They can rebuild him. They have the technology.
I really want one day, like when the day John Cena dies, they need to freeze him and bring him to a lab and just study him, because they need to take whatever secretions or glands or DNA strands they can from him to help like heal people that are paralyzed to make walk again. Like if you could restore people from someone's stem cells, I would want John Cena's stem cells. I would want. I want when the doctor hits the stem cell into your IV, I want to go. I would be so into that. I'd be like, I'm gonna walk again. It would be wonderful.
Apparently, Orton's getting another surgery, so he won't be back anytime soon.
No, yeah, I didn't think he was gonna be back. I'm pretty positive Cena's gonna come back, and I'm pretty positive he's gonna have something to do. Not with the main event with the heavyweight title match, but I think he's coming back and having something to do with that Undertaker Shane situation. He has to. It's a big story. The only other way that the Undertaker Shane thing fits anywhere, it's either Cena comes in somehow, or that story is going to be tied into the main event, and the outcome of one will affect the outcome of the other.
The only way I'm happy with the Cena return is if he comes back and he finally turns heel.
Could you imagine?
It would be amazing.
It would be the time to do. Well, no, because he makes a big return and everybody cheers. Oh, yeah, but he could like punch a Make-A-Wish kid or something. And, like, wouldn't that be the ultimate heel move? And he'd be like, "I'm not doing Make-A-Wish anymore." $500 but no, $5,000 if you want to meet me in person. And if you don't have $5,000, you can't see me, sick kid.
That would be hilarious.
What
Oh,
about
that would be
this?
the word. I feel bad saying it. Like I felt like a bad person just.
I think you would turn him face that way.
To a certain part of the
With
audience.
this sick fucking universe, yeah, probably.
No offense, he would definitely. You'd get cheered because people would be like, "Oh my God, he just turned heel."
I'm picturing
We're
like
happy.
they do a big presentation and they bring out a Connor's Cure statue and he gives an attitude adjustment to the statue. I'm a really bad person. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize if you're offended because I'm a bad person.
How many?
I don't apologize for thinking it or for saying it. I only apologize if you're offended because get out more.
How many boycotts and lawsuits do you want in a matter of 10 seconds?
How could you imagine? What if every little sick kid was like, "Mommy, John Cena's not going unless you have $5,000."
Mommy, John Cena just F you.
I'm picturing some little kid who's got a cold, and he's like, "I don't want to tell my parents, because then they're going to want to spend $5,000 to get John Cena here to cure me." And I was just like, oh no, John Cena is responsible for a rise in, like, anti-vaccination.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
All right, well, on that note,
What are we doing
we're
with our
reaching the
lives?
top of the hour.
Oh, man. Oh, that was exciting. That was a lot of fun. We need Charlie Armstrong back.
Oh, Charlie will be back, don't you worry. He may be back next week. I'm going to have a little chat with Charlie.
Wonderful. We didn't really, I guess we didn't mention it on the show. We should have. Amber O'Neal, unfortunately, had, unfortunately for us, she had an opportunity to do a gig that actually paid money. And as you know, we're all broke. So she took a paying gig as opposed to our free gig. And we absolutely encourage you to do that. If you ever have the option between doing a free gig and doing a paid gig, do the paid gig. Don't be stupid. Sell out. It's okay.
100%. Well, and when you're the NWA Women's Champion.
Right. When you're the NWA Women's Champion, you can command a certain price. Free is not it. So we're going to reschedule with her. We're going to figure things out because it turns out that she has some kind of potato phone that we can't interface with. So we have to come up with an alternate solution to get her on. The other thing I suppose we could do is send her questions and have her do responses.
Have someone read them.
Right, yeah, like read them off and have them like get Rob Feinstein. What's he doing? No, never mind. Let's not get Rob Feinstein. Hi, Rob. You know what I mean? Because he's usually about you hear Rob with that fucking Philly accent behind the scenes asking, Sabu about something that happened in Flint, Michigan 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, shit. We got to the top of the hour pretty quick.
Yeah, we did.
Well, let's just, as I said, I did terribly in this prediction thing. I got 3 right. Eric got 5 right. Ryan is the winner chicken dinner, getting 6 of the 7 right. The only one blanked out was the Wyatt family match.
Yeah.
How the hell did we all lose that one? I don't understand why the Wyatts did not go over.
Because it's dumb. It's so dumb. Why do they have these guys on the roster if all they do is
That
fucking
should have been
lose?
more predictable than the main event.
Why didn't they do the Ryback walking out thing on pay-per-view? To make it the pay-per-view special, because pay-per-views are special events and things that are unexpected should happen on them because you pay a premium for them instead of watching them from free television.
You want to talk about bad bookings? Book the Wyatts like shit.
Right? For the past however long they've been there, they've been booked like shit.
They should just turn them face by now.
They've had a cumulative 3 weeks where they knew what they were doing, and then it went to shit. I changed a couple on mine because I went with Jericho and I went with Naomi and Tamina because I wanted the heels to go over to continue things. I guess they really are going to continue things with Jericho and AJ. It's just that AJ went over and they're going to do it a different way with them being a tag team and them breaking up. And I wanted Naomi and Tamina to win because I wanted that to cause tension between Becky and Sasha. It made more sense to me that something happens during the match, a miscommunication or whatever, Naomi and Tamina steal a win, and then Sasha and Becky look at each other like, it was your fault. No, it was your fault. We meet each other. Me? That bullshit.
Right. I think they went with with Becky and Sasha winning because it puts them in contention for the
Right.
women's.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why it makes sense, because by winning that match, they became potential
Because
number
if they
one.
lost, they would kind of go down, and who would it would be weird. Would Naomi and Tamina move up? It'd be weird.
They would have
That's
to do a
exactly
match
what I was
next.
thinking.
They would have to do a match on Raw.
Yeah, they would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me just say this: Naomi is a terrible heel.
Yeah, she
It
is.
just doesn't work. She
I
does
don't think she's that bad.
the butt thing and these stupid can kicks she's doing. That's face stuff. It makes no sense. She's a terrible heel. I'm sorry.
What is the butt thing? The rear.
Her rear end or
The
whatever.
the rear view.
The rear view.
I like that. It's not a heel move. It's definitely not a heel move.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. She's doing these things that she's not a good heel. Stop doing those things if you're a heel.
Eric's pissed.
Eric is pissed about the Divas division. Preach. I'm so glad that somebody's watching. Those 5-minute matches that end in a fucking roll-up. Have fun,
Pointing
dude.
that out, you know?
Someone has to.
Oh, that was funny. Fired up with Eric.
Yeah. Mad fired up about that.
I gotta be fired up about something. But I had the opposite when Shane came out. I was like woke up the whole neighborhood last night.
Yeah.
Let me just say this real quick before we go.
Yeah.
I was working till like 9:30 or 10 last night. All right. I stayed off social media. I usually work Monday night. I stay off social media intentionally because I don't want to know anything. Anything. I don't put on Facebook when I get home. I wait until I catch up on Raw. I started. They do the whole Vince comes out, Stephanie, Shane comes out, and I'm like, like the crowd. I said holy shit for a good 5 minutes. I started doing this when Shane came out. I could not believe my eyes. And it was the surprise it was a surprise, you know, and surprises in wrestling.
It was a
don't happen
genuine
often,
surprise, yeah.
And it was amazing. I never in a million years would have thought that would happen.
Genuine surprises
the
are
way it was,
so,
and it just
so
was
rare.
phenomenal.
Okay, well, I don't know what that
Ups and downs.
It's the buzzer to indicate that we've gone on too long.
Yeah.
Steve, do you have any parting words for us regarding tagmeadate.com?
Yeah, I encourage everybody, like I do every week, you got to go check it out. We had a massive upload today, just a lot of fine-tuning. It looks the best it's ever looked. It's flowing. It's working the best it's ever worked. It's growing fast. So get on it while it's still free. But we got more stuff coming between now and WrestleMania. So stay tuned, and special shout out and thank you again to Amber O'Neil for all her support. Charlie Armstrong. The list goes on. And tagmeadate.com. Sign up now.
Excellent. Hold on just a second here. We're going to play you out with something. Load.
Bullet Club. For life.
C-Suite, Amber O'Neil, the Bullet Babe, right here, right now, to tell you to get over to tagmeadate.com, where wrestling and dating all goes down in the same place. If you want to meet your soulmate at a wrestling event like I did, then you will go to tagmeadate.com.